Hello, I'm Elder John Henderson of the Gathering Church. Welcome. This is your Daily Dose. Many of us recognize this season as the time when we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. And often we look to the book of John to see this story completed, which was begun in the book of Genesis. John doesn't show us the events around Jesus' birth, unlike the first three Gospels. There are no parables or exorcisms. Jesus' teachings focus much more on his own identity and his unique relationship with the Father. Jesus is the eternal Son who has come to reveal the Father. John places more emphasis on why Jesus came to earth. The focus is on who Jesus is and his mission, his purpose. The book of John is about the Creator God acting in a new way within his creation. It is about the way in which the long story, which began in Genesis, reached the climax the Creator had always intended. We're familiar with the way the writer introduces Jesus as the Word. John 1 through 3 goes, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made." And then beginning in John 1 and 14, he clearly shows us that when we see Jesus, we see everything about God. Everything about God. He encompassed it all. John had this unique view of the Word which became flesh. He saw Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration. He saw him in the Garden of Gethsemane. In his first epistle, John wrote this: "That which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon and touched with our hands, concerning the word of life." 1 John 1 and 1. By the time that we arrive at our memory verse, verse 14, he has already laid out who Jesus is. John 1 and 14 goes, "And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. And the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." It amazes me to know that the eternal God chooses to come down to earth to show us himself. These words, "the Word became flesh," these words have been called the most profound truth of all truth, and the fundamental reason we celebrate the birth of Jesus. This is a supernatural reality going on here that John explains. And it is critical for us to understand this non-negotiable reality that we celebrate at this time of the year. It's this: the eternal God, the infinite, transcendent, all-knowing, all-present, everlasting, unchanging, eternal God of the universe became human. This passage, "the Word became flesh," emphasizes Christ's three key attributes: his eternality, his equality with God, and him, the essence of the source of all life. Jesus stooped down to dwell with us without ceasing to be who he has always been, and that is how we should know and worship him. In a few short weeks, a significant portion of the world's population will celebrate in some way December 25th. Today's encouraging verse reminds us that Jesus, the Word, became flesh and dwelt among us, for from his fullness we've all received grace upon grace. Jesus left his glory in heaven to take on our sinful humanity. He lived a life tempted just as we are, yet he did not commit sin, so that he could bear the penalty of our sin on himself, all so that we might have the opportunity to be reconciled with God. Jesus came to dwell among humanity to bring grace and truth, hope and salvation. His mission wasn't condemnation, but liberation. His mission wasn't rejection, but salvation. Jesus is pursuing you even when you aren't pursuing him. He's looking for you even when you aren't looking for him. This has been your Daily Dose.